Good evening. Oh, shit. Now, good evening. Sorry about that. I gotta apologize for like the last 80 streams not being properly prepared. I feel like I start every stream by saying, guess what? I am completely unprepared for this. But guess what? It's episode 81. I thought it was episode 82 for some reason. I think because I ended up streaming a bit this weekend and ran into some problems with my... I opened the Coke. I had the Coke. I feel stupid. I feel so stupid. I had the Coke ready to be opened on stream, and I fucked up. It was there, and I was thirsty, and I opened it off stream. Pretty dumb. All right, so yeah, as usual, totally unprepared for this, but thank you all for showing up. I've been in a reflective kind of mood. Dear diary. Ooh. Oh shit. This is actually typing on my work computer. Let's flip this off so I can prop it. Okay. Dear diary. I have been in something of a reflective mood lately. Not sure why. Maybe it's climate change? Question mark, question mark? Does climate change exist? I mean, I know it exists, but was it caused by human factors, or are we in the middle of a natural cycle? I get a migraine when it's about to rain. Imagine the headaches global climate change would cause. Luckily, there are enough people in the world who in the face of evidence, in the face of all evidence to the contrary, will still quite brazenly question the cause of climate change. Some of them, I'm not going to name names, but some of them will even say stuff like, well, what is climate? Well, what do you mean by change? Isn't the climate everything? How do you define warming? How do we know that if my car is running fine, how do we know that me just throwing a wrench into the motor won't actually make things better? It might. If I'm a man, a white Canadian man at that, and I've taught school for a long time, and I have a lot of experience speaking to young, impressionable minds and letting them know the truth out there, which, if you've read Notes from Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and if you haven't, shame on you. If you have not read that book, then you should go read it right now. It's only about 100 pages long. If you're me, you should be able to read it in about 15 minutes. And I read it 30 times today. But if you've read Notes from Underground, you'll know the opening passage. I am a sick man. I am a spiteful man. I believe my liver is diseased. It's funny, actually. That is. The Underground Man. The opening paragraph of The Underground Man, kind of accurately describes the guy. Look. I'm not checking the JP vote. Not really sure what to do about this Q. It's my shtick. But at least this time I do know what kinning means. I don't like this being in the middle, in the top. Maybe this should be down here somewhere. That's better. Near the keyboard. Well, so, I mean, I feel like I don't need to say that I'm pretty far left. So I hope that the satire comes through as satire and not as a genuine endorsements. But I'm trying to be truer to what I want, Like I'm trying to be truer to what I want to do. And if that means breaking into Jordan Peterson voice in a mocking fashion, then that's what I must do. I must follow my heart. I think he has a lovely voice for ASMR. Like imagine, you could take any of his, especially when he gets angry. He came out with another video a few days ago, which didn't really say anything new, right? It was just reiterating or clarifying what he did on Twitter, why he deleted the tweet he said he wouldn't delete, and questioning the competency of Twitter executives. And he was calling out the CEO by name, particularly, and referring to his friends, his people of power who are friends. It's clearly an Elon Musk, saying Elon Musk's name without saying Elon Musk's name. And Jordan Peterson would object with the classification conservative. He insists that he is a centrist or even a liberal, and that, just lately he's happened to be in alignment with more conservative values. I find it fascinating, even just kind of thinking about that, the manosphere, right? Which I fucking hate that term. But I find it fascinating, the sort of almost incestuous sort of dealings that go on there between people. And, I don't need to, someone I won't even give. Part of the reason I think why I give, I've said this before, but part of the reason that I give any attention to Jordan Peterson at all is I just feel like if he wanted to, I don't know, is it too late for him to have a redemption arc? Could he do a 180 and use his powers for good? Use his dress sense for good? Probably not. Probably too much damage done already. So wait, I'm not sure. It's not clear to me from the comments. Do people want me to keep doing the Jordan Peterson voice or not do the Jordan Peterson voice? Because I have fun doing the Jordan Peterson voice. And it's not like I mean, there's no, I'm not moving the needle here, like in either way, right? So does it really matter? All right, let me say hi to some people. Jeff. Oh, wait, now I can't have this coming up from the bottom if it's doing that, can I? That looks stupid. It has to fly in from the bottom. Here we go. Better. All right, well, thank you for coming by early. I was watching or listening to the H3 podcast, which is actually, I think, still going on. Why did this not? Yeah, save that. Which is why I just kind of came in here at the last second. But now, see, when it's at the bottom, there's an overlay that sort of gets in the way. Pivy, hi. Oh, I did put a poll, and I didn't look at it. Sorry. 30% the whole time, 4% 99.99% of the time, 38% never mention his name again, but the cincher there was, of course I'm going to mention his name. It's an illness. I can't stop it. I mean, hey, I did better this week, right? I didn't listen to any Joe Rogan in the past week. Regardless of the motivation, I don't think that does me. I don't think I learn anything of value. It's often disinformation, very delivered with like such certainty, like just shit pulled out of his ass, but really like delivered as if it. Although he does, he does say a lot, like fact check me on this. Like he'll just say fact check me on this. Like I think Google is a search engine. Fact check me on that. But the fact checks don't always, or a lot. I did notice like what happened is, he made some outrageous claim and he was like, I'm not 100% sure on that. Fact check me on that. And they fact checked him on that, and they were like, no, that fact is wrong. And he was like, well, what poll are you looking at? You're probably looking at the wrong poll. I'm pretty sure I'm right. So there's not really much point in having a fact checker if when they check your facts and inform you that your facts are indeed incorrect, you then just say, oh, well, you didn't look at the right facts. Right? At that point, it's performative. It's just a performative fact check. Get somebody to make it look good. I mean, like I just did just then, right? I was sort of like, oh, well, he does get people to fact check stuff. And yet in my brain was all the information that I needed to realize that it was bullshit. And it took me expressing it here, vocalizing it here to somehow put two and two together. I don't know why. I'm not super smart. I'm just super consistent. Hey, Warp Raven. Hey, Amy. Drop-in appointments. What is it you do, Amy? You're on the West Coast? You could fact check me on that. Somebody fact check me on if Amy's on the West Coast. Also, I believe she's a plastic surgeon and she's doing drop-in appointments for rhinoplasties, but fact check me on that. Thanks. Oh, well, actually, I don't know what to do with this. Like, you just sort of... Pepsi is not allowed. Mention of Pepsi is not allowed. Although I guess let's make a deal. You all can talk about Pepsi, and I can talk about Jordan Peterson. Hi, Olivia. Bryant Mitchell. I want to say that I've seen you around before, but I'm not 100% sure. Oh, colorful dreams. Okay, yeah. Obviously, if you have to wake up, you have to wake up. I mean, that's your choice then. You're choosing to prioritize your life and work ahead of listening to me ramble. But look, I don't suffer from any delusions over like where the engagement happens here and how it happens here. I know that it happens as the result of you all talking to each other, often at my expense, or I speak to your consternation, which then fuels the back and forth commentary, and thus the engine is fed for another hour and a half on the road to 100. Road to 100. So, I mean, maybe I'm just bitter, right? I've wanted to talk about this like for a little bit. I'm going to put a pin in that and say hi to everybody else first. Brandon 586. Oh man, 7 must be scared. I watched a couple of the songs being done for the Taylor Hawkins memorial shows, and I gotta admit they were pretty moving. I'm not a Foo Fighters fan. I think he was an amazing personality, right? Amazing personality, and a really good rock drummer. And probably, I don't know the details. It seemed like an excellent foil for Dave Grohl. Dave, obviously not the first time that he's lost a band member. Slightly ironic, maybe, that he was the drummer and lost the singer, and now he's the singer and lost the drummer. Unless we're talking about like the first Foo Fighters album in which he was the singer and the drummer. I am still a little bit peeved personally at Dave Grohl for poaching the rhythm section of Sunny Day Real Estate to form the Foo Fighters. Nate Broussard, I forget the drummer's name, but he ended up basically breaking up the band that most people consider to be like the progenitor of emo, which, maybe that's a good thing that it was broken up in your mind or not, but I happen to like them quite a bit. Sunny Day Real Estate, he nabbed the bass player and the drummer from Sunny Day Real Estate, and they fell apart shortly thereafter. And then the drummer ended up leaving. Like, he didn't let the drummer play on the record. I mean, it's arguable that, Dave Grohl was a better drummer than the drummer from Sunny Day Real Estate. I don't know enough about the specifics of drum. I know Dave Grohl has a very metal style to his drumming, which was one of the reasons why a fair amount of people in like the grunge scene weren't enamored with his replacing the previous drummer in Nirvana, whose name I forget, because it was a long time ago. Yeah, it's sad that he's... Oh, I gotta say hi to Erebus. Erebus Adora, hi. It's good to hear from you. I'm glad that you are able to access the internet. I don't really know what the situation is over there. I know when I talk about it, I get yelled at. But I hope that you're doing okay. And I hope that, like, I mean, we all know Russians are not Russia, right? So, I mean, that's a fairly elementary proposition. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that anymore. Good to see you, though. Yeah, I let it break a ritual. And that could be a curse, could be the start of some bad luck. I don't think I've ever done that. I think I've had the self-control, and now I'm going to have to... I'm trying to drink more water and less Coke anyway, so... Roma check 75. Well, I've switched. I've switched to Fiji. From reading about the difference between mineral water, or I'm sorry, spring water and distilled water. So I'm trying not to drink distilled water. I mean, I do have more to say. I don't want to trigger people. I mean, was it even like, but was it a good Jordan Peterson? I just want to do it more and more and more. Let's see, Jeff. Wait a second. Sorry, thought I was hearing something. Had a small meltdown this week about the disingenuous nature of some people. It's almost like no one can be wrong anymore as long as they continue to lie to themselves. So that, I know we talked about that like a little bit a few weeks ago. And then at some point you can actually get, like you can lie to yourself so effectively that you believe your own lies, and shortly thereafter, you believe your own lies and you sort of buy into your own bullshit. At that point, you've erotically drank your own Kool-Aid, and I don't know at that point, like, how can anyone get to you? Like, how can anyone sort of get the truth through to you? I don't know if that's possible. I'm not that talented, Q. I'm doing what I can. Hey, Nasha. Good to see you. Well, I don't know what you're going to get. Maybe you'll get that from chat. Or Pragan. What's been going on the past couple of days? I mean, there's been a lot of crap, like generally speaking, going on, but I don't know. Yeah, he is. But like all these people, right? Like that entire group of people, he's a troll who says whatever he wants, and regardless of if he's at the point of drinking his own juice to the point where he believes it, a very large percentage of people that listen to him take him very seriously because he uses words like codicil and, trepidatious. He has 2 camera angles, and he leans forward and he looks very intently, and he gets very emotional. Like I feel like that's even fake. Like I feel like his anger is even performative. Like because it's so easy to predict. Like you can just kind of be like, okay, here's the part where he's gonna kind of get that little grimace on his face, and he's gonna furrow his brow, and then he'll lean back in his chair, and I'll go, or so they say, whatever his bridge line is into the next point of nonsense. Nasha, I mean, I don't think Jordan Peterson, that's just the other weird thing is like he talks like he would be game to get up there, and I mean he really talks like a warrior, and I'm pretty sure that a stiff breeze might well, I don't know, is there even an illusion? I don't even know what Turtle Dreams is. I don't know what to tell you, Mari. I was pretty clear in the description. Well, I don't think that's I don't think that actually. I almost think he's more insidious than Alex Jones because he doesn't go quite. I'm hearing an echo. Didn't I mute this? Hold on a second. It's not muted. I almost think he's more insidious than Alex Jones because Alex Jones is completely ridiculous and says, things that are further out there than generally Jordan Peterson says. And Alex Jones doesn't have like the pedigree that Jordan Peterson does in terms of his, ability to fall back on his ad hominems, his appeals from authority. And he uses so many poor debate tactics when he talks that I get them confused. He will use ad hominem attacks, and he will also appeal to his own authority over and over again about how he was a professor or how he was on a board serving. He was one person on like an ancillary board talking about the effects of climate change and claimed to read hundreds of books, literally claimed to read over 200 books on the subject, which we know that's a lie. I mean, we know that he lied about claiming that, and this wasn't like a light lie. It wasn't like he said, no, man, I didn't sleep for 36 days. It was rough. Like I barely got any sleep. No, he was very, very explicit and emphatic. Even more so than Aaron Rodgers is, I've been immunized. Yeah, I've been immunized. Yeah, I've been immunized. No, he was very, very specific, saying he literally, because he was pressed on this point, he literally did not get one wink of sleep for 36 days, I think it was. Twice the world record. And he would have been dead if that were true. But of course it's not. It's not true. So I think he's more dangerous than Alex Jones. I think Alex Jones is more easier to pillory. He's a joke even to himself sometimes. I watched a bit. It's behind a paywall, so I'm not going to go there. But I do enjoy Channel 5, and I like Andrew Callahan. He did a 20-minute interview with Alex Jones, and in the 5-minute preview for the interview, everything about Alex Jones is just like the spectacle, right? Call back to Nope, right? So I watched Nope, and I was not thrilled. I didn't love it. I found it a little boring. But when I brought that up, I remember there was sort of a, yeah, Jeff, Nope, the movie Nope. That's what you mean here when you're saying this, right? That's what you mean? Okay, there's a part of me that I almost can't not do it now. I almost have to do it. I need to watch the number go down even further. But that's actually what I wanted to talk about a little bit more. Moby Dick. Getting in there with the hard-hitting questions. Yes, of course there's a point. Yeah. Oh, God. Falling into the same rhetoric. Depends what you mean by forgiveness. I think you can both condemn and forgive at the same time, right? Which you got to be more accurate than saying, well, I forgive you, but I don't forget it, right? I feel like do we, what is forgiveness, right? Do we as a culture forgive Michael Jackson? You know, do we, we don't forgive Woody Allen, right? But Michael Jackson is, a very tragic figure, but he did some fucking horrible things. I think it ended up just being allegedly, right? But it's like allegedly, but we all know. And then is enjoying his music, is that something you can still do? And if you are able to do it, there has to be some level of forgiveness in there. I think. To me, there would have to be. That's why I can't. Look, see? Blue Reagan loves a good Peterson impression. I think the key word there is probably good, though, right? It's got to be a good one. I don't know that mine is good. You always want to talk about turtle dreams. Talk to me. Let's talk about turtle dreams. I'm not sure what that is. An album by Meredith Monk? The spiritual meaning of turtles and dreams? I don't know what you're talking about there, Mari. Whenever I see your name, I think of Marimar, which was a Spanish soap opera I used to watch as a kid. And I still know the entire theme song by heart. You want to hear it? Here it goes. Marimar, costanita soy, con mis abuelos crecí yo, en un lindo y cálido mar. I'll stop there. Cuando manda corazón, siempre, siempre mando el amor. Something like that. Here's somebody who has flown under my radar to some extent. Jeff Nichols is, I believe, his name. He's a writer-director. He wrote and directed Mud. But more significantly to me, he wrote and directed Take Shelter, which is a movie it's a bit about, it's the question you kind of see in horror tropes, but I think he did it in a really sort of refreshing way. It's about like the blurry line between like understanding what's mental illness and what might actually be like some kind of vision. And of course, in fiction, you can actually take that a little further. But a movie called Take Shelter. It's Jessica Chastain. I don't know how it evaded me until last week. Jessica Chastain, Michael Shannon. I don't know who the kid was. It had like Shea Wiggum in it. It had Shea Wiggum. It had the groundskeeper from Haunting of Hill House, who was also the drunk in Midnight Mass. And this movie was like 9 years ago, and man, he looks a lot different. Those were 9 years of something for that guy. Okay, I guess I gotta go down here. I gotta catch up with what's going on. Whose brother-in-law? I know, if you're talking about Jordan Peterson, I know his daughter was briefly involved with Andrew Tate, an alleged sex trafficker, and probably the most odious of the current crop of hate-spewing, conservative, toxic masculinity speakers. Oh, Amy, you teach and tutor. Okay. And you have drop-ins. Is that going to be the new? I don't know. Can you fact check me on that? Just get back to me whenever. No, that's probably the last time. Oh my God, Olivia. Whenever I see something like this or hear something like this, I think, dear Lord, it's like the scene from The Road. Somebody who has never been exposed to, in 7.5 fluid ounces, 25 grams of sugar, 50% of your daily allowance of sugar in 7.5 ounces of syrupy stuff. Oh, that's kind of cool. I mean, I like the design on Pepsi. I don't find it to be quite as iconic or striking as the almost fascistic designing on Coca-Cola. Anytime you get a bold red like that, especially if Coke Zero, it's red and black. So, you're either an anarcho-syndicalist with that, or you're Dark Brandon doing your best to do an impression of a Roger Waters concert. Yes, exactly. Well, I love it. It's still better than anything Family Guy has done. Oh, I got to catch up here because I'm seeing stuff that's like, I don't have the context to know what they're referring to. I assume this is, well, but so this was the gateway. It pretty much went Sunny Day Real Estate, Dashboard Confessional, My Chemical Romance, whatever there is now, right? Moby Dick likes it. And Jordan Peterson loves some Herman Melville, and arguably is the Ahab of pretending like you care about free speech. Free speech is his whale. Like, why? I mean, actually, so I get it, right? Like with him, like this is how he acquired his millions, is by going into this area where he saw, like, hey, who's easy to dupe and has like disposable income? Young men, young frustrated men who are not happy with their lot in life. Generally, cishet men. And I think I could probably tap that. I think that's an apt phrase to use there. I think I can tap into some of that anger and frustration and money that, they're not sure what to do with, and get a piece of it. And he did it. I at least have to give him kudos for being a good grifter, where I get like a little more, what sort of baffles me a little bit more is people who are in the catbird seat. They are sitting pretty and they choose, like, not through need, not through any sort of, not even through greed, right? And this almost, like, what's worse, right? Like, what is worse? Somebody who is genuinely transphobic, or name your poison, or somebody who isn't, but decides to pretend to be, to cash in. I don't know. I'm comparing Jordan Peterson and J.K. Rowling here.
case you weren't wondering, like, why did J.K. Rowling fuck up a perfectly good life? She could have gone through the rest of her life with no one knowing the skeletons in her, in the chest at the foot of her bunk. Well, I guess she'd be Slytherin, wouldn't she? But no, had to say something. Then had to double down on it. Has anyone heard about how Salman Rushdie's doing? I know Peter Straub died yesterday or the day before. And I was a fan of his work. Very sad, unfortunate. There have been a fair amount of passings this week. I still haven't done my doctor video. Oh, when I saw this, well, and this is self-referential, but I saw this post from the philosopher Oscar Wilde saying most people are other people, their thoughts are someone else's opinions, their lives a mimicry, their passions a quotation. And like could immediately think of so many people that applies to. To some degree, I own up to myself being one of those people as well. All right, let me get down to the bottom. Hey, Joey, thank you for hanging out. This is correct. Blue regen. So he says. I mean, my belief there is that he was seriously addicted to benzos and had to go through probably a hellish time to get off of them. I don't think it had anything to do with having a sip of apple cider. It's full of shit. He's gonna get caught on a camera one day drinking some apple cider, and then he'll be like, "Well, the allergy, it cured itself because of my all meat diet." Yeah, so for Nope, like when I brought up on an earlier stream that I was not taken with it, and I think the general consensus was, well, that's because you didn't understand it. And no, I did understand it. I understood it. Like I cannot like stuff. And I didn't even not like it. I just didn't think it was great. It felt shoehorned to me. Some of it felt shoehorned to me. And people said, well, you should go back and watch it again. So I did that. And, I softened towards it a little bit, but it still felt, I get it. I understand the premise. I get what he was going for. And I think like it was, masterfully done, but it still didn't resonate with me. That doesn't guarantee that something's going to resonate with you. This is still pretty big. Oh, you're saying just like in the past. Okay. Not now. I definitely do. Jeff, that's sweet that you refer to her as your dancing queen. Or is she actually like at dancing lessons? And it's still, either way, that's sweet. And I love that Jeff has gamely taken to the nickname Gregor. I'd prefer to call him Jesk or Jeff. I was a little bit, so I also finished watching What We Do in the Shadows, or at least as much of it as was released. I still think this season of What We Do in the Shadows maybe should have stayed in the shadows. The last episode I watched was, a riff on Property Brothers. And it did not feel like, it just continued the feeling that like this season is sort of disconnected from the other feelings. Laszlo is a different person. Nandor is hardly featured. Obviously Colin is sidelined to some extent. I don't feel like it's the tight ensemble that the previous seasons were, and I can't put my finger on it just yet, apart from the reasons I just mentioned. But I am curious, am I alone in thinking that? Can I, end that poll. Let's create this poll. Have you watched the latest season of What We Do in the Shadows? And if so, do you think it holds up to the first 3 seasons? Says my question is too long. Oh shit, it is. Have you watched season 4? There we go. Now my question is not too long. Yes, I have. No, this is unnecessarily complicated. I have watched it. And no, it doesn't. No, it's too long. I should break this into 2 polls, but I'm going to figure out a way to word this. We can wordsmith this right here, right now, together. Yes. No. Yes. 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 No. Not applicable. There we go. That covers it, right? So yes, no means yes, I have watched season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows. And no, I don't think it holds up. Yes is, of course, I have watched What We Do in the Shadows. But yes, I do think it holds up. And no NA means no, I haven't watched it. So I don't get a vote. Oh, no, I don't think he was innocent. No. The presumption made here, though, but without forgiveness, are we all not doomed to be cast out? The presumption there is that, like, all sins are equal. And I don't buy into that at all. And I also don't buy into the idea of original sin. And I'm a secular chap. Yes, it was a telenovela. Oh shit! I really, if this is what we're still talking about here, yeah, they're still around, but it's not like they're right. Their tour going on right now is basically a summing up their previous albums tour, isn't it? Oh, that's sweet, Erebus. I hope you can sleep well, and I hope things improve for you soon. For those of you who don't know, Erebus, super talented artist, has done all the art for this channel, some art for the Phoenician Sailor channel. I think she's even done some art that has nothing to do with me at all. Could be wrong. All right, let me get down to the bottom here. Yeah, can you believe this? I can't believe that. When I heard about that, I was in shock, and I saw, I think, a rather quippy tweet, which is redundant, from, I suppose, the person who started all the furor, or called attention to the fact, basically saying like, oh, look, I baited J.K. Rowling into devoting 9 months to writing an entire novel about this. Yeah, I mean, I can assume like what the take is in that novel, although I have not read it, and of course I won't. Man, I mean, yes, I can, but I see your stuff, Q. The super chats are not needed. Let's see. I'll do this right now. Let's go from, we're already at 29. Let's go to 38. How's that? At this point, like if I make it any bigger than that, large comments are gonna take up the entire screen. Some people are on phones, I predict, right now. Oh no, what was my GIF? Do I think 9/11 was an inside job? I think it was an inside job insofar as the United States created the conditions in which we would. I can't have this open. This is distracting. Created the conditions in which we would anger an entire generation of young up-and-comers who have no way to lash out at an imperialist force that is doing their damnedest to stoke insurrections anywhere but on their own isolated side of the world. And like we definitely do that stuff on purpose, or rather, is this going to come back to bite us in the ass? Doesn't get a word in when it comes to sort of debating the pros and cons of causing an insurrection or baiting a third world nation or a religion or, whatever it happens to be. So, and I think that like at that point, you have a part of the U.S. government that then will use that. I mean, it's an attack of opportunity, right? It's an opportunity for them to then get people to sign off on whatever they had wanted people to sign off on already, e.g. The Patriot Act, which is still here. Still here. Someone is suspected, if an American citizen is suspected of being a domestic terrorist, and there's no real clear definition on like what constitutes the burden of proof there, probable cause is not an issue, then they can be detained without counsel, without anything, indefinitely. So big win for the military-industrial complex at home. Now, whether that was taking lemons and making it into lemonade, or whether it was, hey, let's plant some lemon trees and hopefully get some lemons that we can get people to taste. We can get dogs to taste them and then make faces at us. I don't know. I don't think it was an inside job, and that I don't think it was coordinated by the CIA. I largely don't think that because it was successful. And the CIA has a horrible track record of getting anything done. Maybe this is like a reputation they want to promulgate so that people think then like I do. They think that, okay, well, the CIA is incompetent, so they couldn't have had anything to do with this because it was successful from the point of view of the people committing the act. To be clear, like I never think it's, okay to target civilians. The U.S. does that all the time, or once again, they don't factor that in when they're talking about like who to target or how to target. Although the Hellfire missile sure is a hell of a missile. That is a hellfire of a missile. Short answer, no. I don't think so. Well, and you can see what this is doing. I wish I could make the font bigger without making the PFP bigger. They have gone back to, like, for season 4 to be sort of encapsulated, although within the season, if you watch them out of order, you're going to be confused. That was part of my problem with it, though, is like they'd set up a huge change at the end of season 3, and then they just backtracked on it all. Hey, Isra, good to see you. It's a great series. I really enjoy it. I don't think so. I think it did J.K. Rowling use a different name? I thought that she used the same name. But I don't know. I haven't looked into it, so I don't want to, So I happen to be very close friends with somebody who is working on Hogwarts Legacy. Someone that I've known since I was 20. Like, my first game development job was with this guy. And I worked with this person on and off for ever since then. And I know he's working on it right now. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say that the last time I saw him, I was able to see it. And I wasn't able to see it enough to know anything else other than it fucking looked good. But it's also been in development for a really long time. And you kind of sometimes can end up being on a never-ending hamster wheel there, where it's like, okay, well, now we've got to update all our assets because the assets that looked great in 2019 now look kind of meh, and no amount of adding new shaders is going to fix that. We need to go remodel them, and then that takes time, and then other elements fall behind. Often what gets overlooked there are the kind of mechanics that do things like in Alan Wake, where, like, you play Alan Wake now, it still looks pretty good, but man, it's clunky as hell. It does not feel like the character is connected to the world in any way. Last of Us, Part 1, even though it came out around the same time as Alan Wake, they did a much better job of, and it seems like a small thing, but it makes all the difference. Like, it's affecting you every moment of gameplay. It's affecting you. So it's a big deal. Certainly, in my opinion, a much bigger deal than how many polygons are allotted for your landscape or your character. I saw an article recently that was entitled, like, why is it difficult for video games to get horses right? And you could just, the answer to that question could have just been quadruped, right? Because most games treat bipeds as if they only have one point of contact with the world, and their hit scans can be brought down to like a single vertex. You can't do that for a quadruped, obviously. It's kind of weird in a way. Like, us becoming bipedal really helped our representation in games. We would have overcome it one way or another. I'll bet she does. And I'm not going to buy Hogwarts Legacy. Although, my son loves the Lego stuff. So I don't really know. Does it she's got to get a cut of anything that has to do with Harry Potter. right? So when I buy a Harry Potter Lego set, I am supporting J.K. Rowling. I've got to start taking that into account. I haven't been. I guess I feel like it's been abstracted enough. But I don't forgive that. Numbers and letters. Consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself lucky. I don't know how you've escaped, but yeah. Boy, Nasha, you are spoiling for a fight. Could you take JKR and JBP simultaneously in a fight? And also, do you have a nice 3-letter set of initials starting with J? So it could be JKR, JBP, V, JN, whatever. The problem with buying secondhand for something like Hogwarts Legacy is going to be, of course, the DLC and the very long life that game will probably have. Oh, okay. Thank you. Robert Galbraith? That's a bizarre last name. Is that an anagram for anything? It seems like the kind of name that you, like her fucking Tom Riddle stuff. The Dancing Queen is back. Well, yes, he was kind of one beat, right? He was kind of the Kenny of that group. But now, I mean, they've just changed to a different beat. And at this point now, he's just the same as he was, as far as I know. The biggest game that I have worked on, depends what you mean by biggest, depends what you mean by game, depends what you mean by worked on. I have book material in Skyrim. I did character models and animation for Civilization 2 and Civilization expansions. There was the A design lead for Elder Scrolls Online. I mean, if you're talking about sheer like number of units sold, it would be my tangential involvement in Skyrim. But it was tangential. It was just like, I was writing books. I mean, unless you count SpongeBob games, right? I don't know. It really depends what you mean by biggest game, right? Most notoriety or most sales or, it really depends how you qualify that. I hate to say that. Okay, wait, I actually didn't check. All right, so very few people agree with me. One person pretty much agrees with me. Well, no, I haven't, but I will play the hell out of that. That's a game where I feel like it could really benefit from a remake. Like, there's enough about that game that's great, but there's also enough about that game that is very of a time that I feel like if they fixed that stuff, it would be fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Maybe it will suck, but maybe it shan't. Well, yeah, that's basically when I got out of art. Um, I actually enjoyed it. Like, there's nothing I loved more than taking a 400 polygon dragon lizard, doing a UV unwrap onto a 512 by 512 or 1024 by 1024 image, seeing those polygons spread out there, using that space as effectively as I possibly could, and working within like those kinds of limitations to produce something that looked like a car or looked like an organic creature of some kind. Like low poly modeling, I really, really enjoyed. And when that, I got out of art when those limitations started to go away and got into design because I didn't have the skill to progress beyond that. Maybe they would wink out. There would just be too much negative energy in one place, and they could just implode. But they're too alike, so it wouldn't be like matter and antimatter. But maybe it would be, like when they say if you meet your doppelganger, you will just instantly vaporize, both of you. Seriously? I didn't know this, Q. I mean, that's like not linked. That's just like straight up. Really? Man, it's worse than I had thought. I should look into that more because I absolutely, certainly do not want to be supporting J.K. Rowling in any way. Wow. Yeah, I have. And I've worked on like small games with this person, for instance. I guess they're not indie because they ended up getting released, and most of my indie game ideas are story based and not like mechanic based. But yeah, this has been sort of nibbling at me lately. I don't have the time. I just don't have the time. Like that kind of stuff happens best when you have the energy, the youthful energy. Oh. The Lusty Argonian Maid, volumes 1 through 38. Man, I don't remember. I have no clue. I have no clue. We were writing books like mad for, a couple of months. And it was just like, you wouldn't put too much thought into them. So I have no clue. And a lot of that stuff is random, and it went into like a global is in like the Elder Scrolls database. And then could appear in multiple titles. Yeah, I had heard about this too, that, Silent Hill was actually quite influenced by Jacob's Ladder, which, Adrian Lin and Mr. Shawshank Redemption himself, Timmy. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen it and you like really sort of disturbing horror movies, it's a great movie. I remember when I saw it. Oh, should I say this? Shouldn't say this. When I saw it, like, it's one of those movies that I wonder if you saw it for the first time now, how much you would like it, or how much I would like it if I saw it for the first time now. I don't know. But it certainly made a huge impression on me when it first came out. So now that I'm caught up, I kind of wanted to talk about this thing, this weekly thing that I've been doing. So, as most of you may know, right, it had its beginnings in when I had started doing live streams on my other channel, and I wanted more freedom, and I wanted more. I didn't want to upset everybody. Like, basically, like, I would hemorrhage subs and get people saying that they didn't want. Like, they subscribed to my other channel for a reason, and that reason was not anything like this. So, the prudent thing to do in those cases would be to create another channel and do your other stuff on that channel being this channel. And, there was some growth, right? And met some new people. And I think, like, the people who are here are generally here because they want to be here, right? I hope. Well, this may be, so Colorful Dreams is saying that it began because I was lost in Last of Us Part 2. That's more the inciting incident, or not the inciting incident, the straw that broke the camel's back, sort of. It's more, but this is not what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do, I feel like things are stagnant here, like both for me and for, the people watching, right? So, it's been a couple of years, and there have been times where I've put a lot of effort into this, and there have been times where I have put no effort into it, or very little, beyond, screenshotting a tweet or something, and I do enjoy, like, coming on and talking about stuff. I guess I just wonder if it warrants the schedule that I'm currently operating at, and or if my attitude shouldn't just be a little more fuck it, like, this is going up on one channel, and I will separate things out by playlist. But if you don't like seeing this stuff pop up in your feed, then, unsubscribe. I guess on one hand, I feel like, and maybe this is an expectation I set myself, and therefore, like, it's my fault, and it's something that I probably shouldn't have been. It's an approach I probably shouldn't have taken. But I guess I feel like this is like a little corner for, the 20 to 30 of us that show up most weeks here. And while I enjoy that, I don't know that it's enough for me to do to continue indefinitely doing a sort of repeating cadence, a schedule like I'm doing, or like I have been doing, even though I know I miss a lot. Like, this is episode 81, but we have been going for 2 years or more, right? So really it should be, we should be at episode 100. So there is increased spam, but there's also, like, it's exposed to more people, right? So that's sort of the conundrum that I sort of find myself in, right? Is YouTube is not what it once was, certainly not for someone who's had a channel for like 7 or 8 years or whatever it is. Like, growth is just, like, not really a thing. Like I broke 100,000 subscribers over 2 years ago, and it's just kind of been sitting there. And I realized like I am not helping things by posting politically themed videos. Like people definitely don't enjoy those. And I definitely get like a sort of, hey, shut up and dress up like somebody and do this for an hour, So I guess I am feeling like that is very funny, Lexi. Yeah, that is true, right? That you're guaranteed to get a slew of those, right? Well, but having a schedule is nice for other people, right? And it's weird. It's, well, like, you say this, right? And I mean, I know that is technically true. But it's not entirely like, what's the end game? Right? Like there was a point when I was working on Phoenician Sailor videos where my end game was like, oh, someday I'd like to be able to just do this as my job, right? I suppose, Nico, that's an interesting, like, I don't know, like, I think I just need it to be, sort of worthwhile. Worthwhile in that, like, in the sense that, like, if it's causing me to, like, I want it to be inspiring me, right? Like, honestly, when this started, I was doing it with somebody else. And it was very much like a great mechanism by which, in my mind, it was like this great mechanism by which it would be like an inspiration, like a locus sort of for thinking about things, like analyzing things that we could then bring here and discuss with you all, right? And then, when that stopped and it was kind of just me, hey, Hiver. Well, growth is really difficult everywhere right now. Like there's this a surplus of content and a dearth of consumption, right? Well, look, I would mod everybody here if they wanted it. Assuming that they would want it. And I mean, I hope that everybody knows that, like, there's no incumbent responsibility on anybody to mod anything. Even you, Q, right? Like, Q, you do a lot of work, and it's thankless, except for me to say thank you there. So now is not completely thankless, but certainly the scales do not balance. So I'm just kind of thinking, like, what's the way to go in the future? Do not mod Nico. Yeah, I don't know. That kind of thing. Yeah. There are lots of people who do ASMR videos with sort of, the latest and greatest tech. And really, like, what it comes down to is, I'm an older fella. I've been around for a while. The things that I like to do are not necessarily things that an audience, it appeals to a very discerning audience, let's say. Hey, Lisa, how are you doing? No, see, I did not click that. I clicked Lisa. Ecamm has still not fixed that problem. Yeah, that's exactly what my goal is. How'd you guess? I guess I'm still working through it. Yeah, no, and I realized, Lexi, like, there's basically, like, I think I said it at the beginning, while you were still out. You had not yet joined. That there's essentially like a small ecosystem here, and this is just the space provided in which this group of people, all of whom I feel like I've grown to know and like, probably the strongest word I could use without feeling like I was being a suck up. And so, yeah, I'm just providing the sort of space in which that can be done. And I think, like, at one point I thought, like, oh, maybe this could be something where I just think I work best with another person. Like, I think that's the bottom line. If I don't have someone to be accountable to, I will just kind of let it ride, be like, good enough. So I guess the question is, like, does it stay scheduled? Does the schedule change? Is it less frequent? Is it here? If I do it on the Phoenician Sailor channel, once my subscribers start to dip below 100,000, I might very much regret, the idea. And right, ultimately, it's about retention and engagement. Right? If there's not engagement, it doesn't make any difference what the number here says. The number right here. What happens if I press that number? Nothing. It's just a display. But if I press this, I miss my tiptoe. He goes wherever I go. I miss my tiptoe. What up? I feel like if I play that enough, eventually you will love it. That reasoning might be flawed, but that's what I'm going with. Oh my gosh, Pivy. I will never do it. It will never happen. It will never happen. I delete this first.
Like, I don't know if that thing that they just did with the COVID is, like, panned out or not. But if it did, that's, like, somebody should probably be looking into that.
And I'm not going to delete that either. I love it. The sheer idiocy. Oh, Old Man Hiver. Old Man Hiver. Old Man Hiver, you do it yourself. But you know what? I don't have a button for that. I don't have a multifunction button for that. I actually have to come over here and do it.
More than what we think we deserve.
And at least it's short. Why there was so much talk about Yeah, like I'm so bad at salesmanship that I feel like this would be I can't do that. Like it will turn into another one of these. I don't know, hundreds of Ridge wallets have been sold using the faux sale code. Definitely. All I know is I got a free wallet out of it that I still use. And I kind of like. Kind of. Don't love it. And I also got the Green Lights notebook. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword. I guess I just wish, I wish there was some growth. Yeah. Like there's none. Like if I look at my Q, but don't you understand? Like there are two wolves inside each and every one of us. And my two wolves sabotage each other. That's how they survive. That's their sole purpose. So I don't know. I mean, I brought it up, a little prematurely because I'm not sure. Like my goal was like, okay, I'm gonna get to 100. And then who knows what I'll do from there, No, this is not what like I want to do. Right? Like that's not what I'm implying. I'm not trying to multi-level market this to people. I guess I don't know if anybody knows this, but when I started the Phoenician Sailor channel, the first 3 or 6 months, I ran ads. I paid for ads. And it worked. It worked. I don't think it would work in this case. I just don't. I just feel like there are so many, like every moment of every day, it's like, what now? What now is, what do I choose now? Yeah, I feel like, I feel like what we have is like a good group where the amount of new people being added just about balances out the amount of people leaving, which is better than the other way around, amount of people leaving. No, either way, balancing is balancing, but you know what I mean. I guess the motive, like for me, there has to be some. Can you hear that helicopter? There has to be some excitement and some. I'm generally coming on here every week wanting to talk. Look, honestly, if it were up to me, I would probably be like talking Jordan Peterson 90% of the time. Deep dives into what it is, like who is that person? Why are they the way they are? And, can we fix it? What are we going to do about it? What are the conditions that created it? How do we change those conditions? But also, hi, Derek. Oh, hey, Anna. Yeah, I don't have a lot of friends. It might be said that I have burnt some bridges. So certainly in the ASMR community, there are some people who will talk to me, and a large number of people who can't or won't for various reasons. Oh yeah, that was hilarious, right? Yeah, he brilliantly lampooned all of internet culture in one 3-second, 5-second clip. LOL, MFAO, brah, bro. Inflatable pool. The pool could be filled with G Fuel. That's not a bad idea. Sounds like a lot of work, Clarissa. What I want is it to just magically happen and not have to really put forth any extra effort. Man, I'm terrible. I am terrible. Oh, hi. Turtle. Well, that's sweet. I'm glad that they occasionally have some value. But it's also about retention too. Yeah, I think you're basically what we've kind of this is also about like self-realization, oh boy. So who are you? Let me see if I can guess who you are. This is always a slightly frightening moment for me because I'm not in contact with a lot of people from that time in my life. So if you've known me since we were 16, you either know me from music, you must know me from music or from working at Capstone or Electronics Boutique. Can you give me a hint? Give me a hint. Like, what if that stuff scares me? Maybe I say something here that isn't true. Not everything I say is 100% true. A mutual friend. Okay, I think I can probably guess. I can probably guess who the mutual friend is. So I'm guessing the mutual friend is Anthony. So Anthony, some time ago, I think I recommended a channel called, I think he calls it John Anthony. He does reviews of, I forget exactly what it is, but it's like analyzing Shakespearean text, but it's also like pretty ASMR-y. So John Anthony. Okay, so you're a friend of Anthony's. Here, I live in the area. By area, you mean like the DC area? This is frightening. No, this is good. So, you're not Allison, I'm guessing. You're not Yvette. You're not Lorraine. I don't know what that... Yeah, is that... Yeah, living in the DC area. Can you call in, Rashaveric? Oh, man. That was a fun show. That was a long time ago now. I remember that very well. You're not Henry. You're not... I'm trying to think, which of Ant's friends do I know who live in DC or the DC area? Really, Allison's the only one I know who definitely lives in the area. But she reached out to me just recently and was like, hey, we never did hang out. So you must not be Allison. Can you give me one more hint? Well, he has no mic, or they have no mic on their PC. What? No, I would never plan something like that. You gotta give me one more clue, Rashaveric. Have you ever sung on a Floor album or performed on a Floor album? A guy my age. Ooh, this is... Fuck. I feel bad that I don't just know it right. Well, I mean, it could be many people. So for those of you who don't know, right, like Floor is a doom, or was, or I don't know what their state is right now, a doom metal band. In the vein of like Sleep. That basically, like, I was in bands with everybody who was in Floor, but I was not in Floor. They were a trio: Steve, Anthony, and Jeff, and then Henry. And I played with Jeff in that. If you see that, I've shown that high school talent show video. That was Jeff playing drums in the metal band that I was in high school. he then went on to play drums for Floor. Steve played in the kind of proggy, math rocky emo band that I was in. And then I played in a punky kind of power pop punk band with Anthony and Steve as well, and Jeff. But then I came very close to like playing with Floor a bunch of times, or playing on Floor, singing on Floor albums, etc., but just never happened. I recorded most of their early like, I don't know, 5 or 6 of their singles, 7 inches, back when, records were on vinyl. Shit. Okay, well, can you reveal it? Rashaveric? A dude my age. Lives in the area. Fuck. Oh, Q, I know why you're asking this. We were called the Basils, which is backward for Lisa B., who was a bartender at a club in Fort Lauderdale called Squeeze, where Marilyn Manson got his start. But Anthony was obsessed with this girl, Lisa B. Oh, you've got him. The Basils, yeah. Oh, shit, yes, of course. Of course, Alan. Yes, and I knew that you lived in the area, too. Damn it. But I didn't know you were listening. So, yeah, no, we hung out a bunch. Yeah, Anthony was unhealthily obsessed with her. Anthony, my friend Anthony is an interesting guy. Like, I looked up to him a lot, when I was younger, and I happen to have some old pictures here. I don't think I have a picture of him though. Nope. But yeah, like a really kind of charismatic guy that people kind of, he had a group of people that he hung out with, and I was one of those people. And Alan, so were you. And we would just, like kind of hang out and do things, unhealthy things. Back then, ecstasy was a frequently ingested substance. Some other substances as well. We were young. But yeah, Alan, I totally forgot that you lived in the area. Or when I was thinking through like the list of people. I apologize for that. So yeah, I don't know if I've said anything that's a lie. You can fact check me. But yeah, it was that's pretty cool. Like Anthony's been shown up here before as well too, and got me sort of like, oh shoot, like, Anthony's here. Yeah, there were all kinds of recreational substances going on at that time that were bad. But so Anthony, a really charismatic guy, and made that kind of thing. I mean, I'm a few years younger than he was, so I want to say I was 15 when I met him, and he just kind of walked. This is when I was working at Electronics Boutique. And I was already playing metal, right? Like in a metal band. But I was not part of like the music scene at all in Miami. Whereas Anthony was, and I remember him coming into Electronics Boutique one day, and I was like, oh man, that guy looks like he walked right out of a cyberpunk novel. Super, really skinny. Would wear like button-up white shirts with short sleeves. Good-looking guy, like had very high cheekbones and, intense eyes. He was definitely like a figure that kind of commanded attention. And I think he saw me as like a little, like a nerdy guy who could play guitar, right? And maybe saw me a little bit as influential. It seemed like he had a pack of friends, and I was, I fit in that pack. And then he introduced me to sort of the people in the Miami music scene, which at that time there actually was a bit of a music scene. It was kind of neat. A neat thing to be a part of. There were people who rented out warehouses and had visual art and put on shows, like all DIY kind of stuff, and people would congregate. And for a few years, that was very enjoyable. I don't know if that's a compliment or not, Helen. Definitely feel older. Whoops. Yeah, I don't know about the wiser. I seem to make similar mistakes to those that I have made most of my life. Anyway, so that was sort of the instigating event that also sort of took me away from metal, which I am happy that happened, right? Metal is pretty narrow, restrictive genre. And then, we were just in the same circles for a long time. Our bands toured together. I think I told stories about those on stream before. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to repeat them now. But there was some just very, the kind of stuff you would expect to happen in a band. And Anthony was kind of like the ringleader for some of that stuff, Yeah. Huh. Did you both meet at Electronics Boutique as well? Like, was it's so bizarre. Like, when you trace back the path of like how you meet people, and none of the things that I did then, I don't do any of those things now. Like the thought of meeting people, like meeting new people now is, I don't know how I do it. I don't know how it would happen. I do occasionally meet people via streaming, but that's pretty rare. And like you just said, like Anu said, inertia being a hell of a drug, right? It is very easy for me to like go weeks without really interacting with anyone. See, I know what KL is. KL is Kendall Lakes. Kendall is a suburb of Miami where a lot of us grew up, or a lot of, obviously where I grew up, and a lot of my friends lived in Kendall, which is basically like southwest Miami, where it's just strip malls, strip malls, strip malls, strip malls. Hundreds of blocks. You could live on 186th Street and have someone else who lived on 37th. And you'd be like, okay, I'm going to drive over there. Very few, if any, expressways leading anywhere. So you were just like going from stoplight to stoplight, spending 30 minutes going 6 miles. Do I remember which high school Ed went to? Ed Matus? Ed, which Ed? There's a bunch of Eds from that time. Yeah, you're probably not going to find anything on that. I have some stuff. I have some stuff right here. Somewhere around here. See if I can find it. Oh, yeah. Crikey. Crikey bikey. Oh, we were kids. We were just kids. A lot of the lyrics and some of these things I would never write today, or, even, I wrote a song about burning my school down. Right? Like, had I done that in more contemporary times, probably would have been in significantly more trouble. Yeah, I have like 30 songs here that were generally recorded in my 1-bedroom apartment or studio apartment in Kendall, and I had a 8-track that when I was 18, you get sent your first credit cards when you're 18, and I went out and maxed out my credit cards buying this 8-track machine. Yeah, do I know what high school Ed went to? Didn't he go to, I don't know, did he go to Palmetto? Gables? I think he went to Palmetto. Didn't he? I don't remember. Yeah, like I'm reluctant to even like play any of these. Like these are, am I embarrassed by them? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes. It depends when you get me. All right, I'm going to play one. I'm going to play one song from a band I was in with Anthony that's being talked about here. And fuck, this is a bad idea. Okay. So it's me, Anthony, and Steve Brooks. Steve Brooks went on to be in a band called Torch, which is, they got pretty big in that sludge metal scene. And I think they're wrapping up. This is, I think, their last tour they're doing this year. They were, putting out albums all the time. They were on Seth Meyers. For that kind of music, they got, fairly successful for the kind of music that they were doing. But anyway, I want to caveat this with, I was either in high school or just out of high school, and, we were trying to, what we were trying to do. I'm super uncomfortable playing it. I'm gonna do it anyway. Let's see, put it in here. Put it in here. I gotta be sure I can hear it as well. Okay. I can. All right, I'm gonna play it, and they're short songs. It's probably like 2 minutes. So yeah, I want to give a proviso of, recorded in my studio apartment in the early mid 90s. It was weird because I was coming from a very metal background, and Anthony was more of like a punk kid. And then, oh no, I'm doing it now. Now I've got it queued up. It's happening. So it was an interesting sort of like melange of trying to do like metal, melodic punk stuff. So yeah, this is a Basil song that is maybe 30 years old. It's called Wish You Were Dead. I'm just going to sit here with my head sort of down as we listen to it. Oh yes, Green Day was a huge Dookie. I'm sorry, Performance. The double stops. boy. Yeah. So was I was probably 20. I mean, I don't know exactly how old. It could have been, was I still in high school or just out of high school? Probably just out of, either in high school or just out of high school, right around there. But yeah, we did a lot of stuff, and the recording quality is actually varies quite a bit. Like sometimes we would just put one microphone in a room and record. Sometimes we'd actually multi-track stuff, but it was interesting. Like there's an interesting parallel there between the way I felt doing that kind of music and the way I felt doing like the music, the impetus struggle kind of music, right? Which was much more planned and intricate and thought out. And whereas Basil's music would be like, somebody's got a catchy riff. Okay, cool. Of course, the song's going to be about a girl, because that's all every Basil song was about a girl. And we just do like the melody that kind of popped in your head. And the writing was interesting. Like sometimes, Anthony would come up with a riff and then I would write the music over it, or sometimes I would come up with a riff. The writing was pretty fluid. I enjoyed doing that. Like it's an interesting parallel to what I'm talking about now, like with this being able to have a venue in which you can be sort of more creatively free and not so worried about like, hey, we got to do a part that's in 7/8 time, then transitions into 4/4 for 3 bars before going into 3/4, which is not the same as 6/8, 3/4 time. That kind of stuff. I mean, I can. Well, thanks for being. Yeah, I sang and played guitar. Anthony, I felt like Anthony wrote some really good stuff. Like he wasn't like technically a great guitar player, but he wrote super catchy stuff. So that was always nice. It's good when you compliment each other like that. But yeah, Alan, that's you got me to do that. As opposed to what I recorded a couple of days ago, which was what played at the opening of this, which was the sort of the offshoot of that long time of playing with this. While I was playing out that, I was coming up with this. And then ended up kind of dropping that first part entirely and just doubling down on the other stuff. Yeah, it's changed. And I don't know that it's in its final form. I feel like that was just this is just where it is right now. It's very slow. I did come up with a great name for it, though. Because it so much rips off Santolala that I'm calling it Santolala Land. See what I'm doing there? Santolala and La La Land. This is the part here that I like. It's coming up. When it modulates. Right here. Yeah. There's an out of tune note there. Gotta fix that. And that's just descending back. And that last note actually hangs out for a while, which is always tough for me to do. So I couldn't get that to fit. I still can't get it to fit. Like the tempos for that and then the tempo for the other part, they're just not, they don't work together. Like one would have to be, it's not slow enough for me to double time it. And if I can't double time it, then then either one sounds like it's being played too fast and the other sounds like it's being played too slow, etc. It's interesting, Alan. I feel the same way. Like there are probably some stories that I've been told that I feel like I was a part of. Like I've talked to Steve before and been like, oh yeah, that thing that we did. And he was like, no, you weren't there. We told you about it the next night or whatever, right? But we used to do just, the usual things. Like we would go to Miami, sort of the industrial part of Miami at 2 or 3 in the morning when it was deserted, and we'd just kind of walk around pretending like it was a dystopian wasteland. Sometimes trying to find someone to sell us something. Sometimes not. Right? But yeah, those were fun years. Although it's interesting, I do like sometimes look back and I feel like if I had not gotten into music, where would I be? Like successful musicians, whenever they answer that question, they're like, I'd be dead, I'd be in jail. I feel like being in the music scene introduced me to far more bad habits than, like I was completely straight edge in high school. It wasn't until in my head it was after high school was where that stopped, but maybe it was like near the end of high school. I don't know. But that stuff was more introduced to me from music, not so much something that I was doing that music saved me from. And then I think of like all the time spent in learning and playing and recording and playing shows and touring and all that stuff, and all the things I didn't do because I did that stuff. And it's sometimes easy to look back on that and think, well, that didn't, like, what did that give me? Like, how am I better now because of that? I could have been, I was supposed to, I could have stayed and gotten, in my head, I'm like, I would have gone to medical school. Probably wouldn't have, right? Like, would have found some other reason not to, right? But it's easy to kind of blame the thing that you feel like, this sounds like a terrible, ungrateful thing to say. Let me backtrack it. But yeah, music is a serious time sink. And it was sort of like the thing that made me feel, because I was like a total, complete kind of outcast nerd, right? It was the thing that made me feel like I was more a part of something that was kind of cool, you know? So a lot of it was driven by like, oh man, the cool kids. I want to hang out with the cool kids. Perhaps my life would have been better served had I not cared about that. But I also enjoyed doing it, obviously. Perpetually in the mindset, at least I was, and I think most younger people are, where you're not thinking about what's going to happen to you after 30. I had, my life happened to be aligned so that, I turned 30 just a few years after the turn of the century. So for me, that was like, for a long time, that was the end point. It was very, very clearly delineated that, sort of whatever I had done by the time we clicked into a new century, that was it. Like that was going to be the extent of the impact that I had, or what the apotheosis of what I had achieved would have been done by that time. And anything after that was just sort of like running out the clock. And so it's been 23 years of running out the clock, 22 years of running out the clock. And, looking at a resume, like looking at every job in the sense of like, okay, well, how is this going to look on my resume? Like no job was my home. Every job was just like a way to get to the next thing. And that was definitely like not helped by being in game development, where security is a joke. You don't have job security in the game industry. Like there's no such thing. And it took me a long time to leave that. So I'm glad I did. Anyway, so this was interesting. This took a very unexpected turn. Maybe a nice note to end on for the evening. See if I pull that up a little bit. But Alan, yeah, it was good talking to you. I didn't know that you were lurking. And we should probably catch up. I think this is probably true. Yeah. Well, yeah. Feels like home. These are all good sentiments. A house is not a home. Before I go away, has anybody been watching The Devil in Ohio? Like I saw the ad for it, and it looks interesting, but I don't want to jump into it and spend time. I don't want it to be another time sink if it sucks. So has anyone watched The Devil in Ohio? It's a newish Netflix limited series. That looks like it could be good or terrible. Nobody? No? Yeah, I appreciate this, Alan. I'd probably change a few things. Anew. That's good. Again, getting the wrong thing. Isn't that just Ohio? Why Ohio? Why not Ohio? Well, I think it has something to do with like, it gave me like a village / Children of the Corn / the Witch kind of vibe of needing an isolated area out in the middle of nowhere. Why? I mean, it could have been a bunch of places. Why Ohio? Don't know. Okay, so I'm going to have to watch it and see if it's any good. Okay, well, Alan, if you feel up to it, give me a shoot me an email. There. And we can catch up. If you're up to it, like no pressure, right? Okay. Oh yes, the Vavitch. Yes. Fantastic movie. All right. Well, good night, everyone, and I will see you all next week. For now, nothing has changed. Plan is still the same. I'm just thinking about stuff, and we'll see what's going on. All right. I'll see you all later. Good night.